Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the director of Fire Song, Adam Garnett Jones.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'd like to welcome to the stage some of the cast and crew. We have Laura Milken and DJ Thornton, producers of the film, Andrew Martin, James Cristo, the DOP, Brent Dibo, who is here, and oh man, I feel like I'm forgetting somebody else. So if I'm forgetting you and you were involved in the movie, come to the stage. Who's coming up, and this is Glenn Gould, who ran the acting workshop for the young cast. And Jennifer Dysart, second evening.
So, congratulations, Adam. Amazing movie. Can you talk a little bit about where the story came from?
Sure. I mean, it's a hard film to talk about in a lot of ways. I think the nuts and bolts of what happened in the story aren't things that happened to me, but where all the characters are at emotionally is very much where I was when I was a teenager. I was a really depressed and suicidal teenager, and I don't think anybody in my life really had any idea about that. It can kind of keep things pretty close. And as I got older and started working with different like Aboriginal youth and queer youth, I started finding how common that story was, and that there's so many kids who've been through that experience, and lots of kids who didn't make it through. And so, it's kind of a hard place to start, but that was the jumping off point for the story.
And what was it like? I've known your work as a short filmmaker for so long. What was it like transitioning from shorts to features?
It was wonderful because of the producers that I had by my side and the performers and everything, and it was a living nightmare. It was every day. We all, or at least I, was sure that this was going to be the day that everything just melted down and we were not going to be able to move forward. Yeah, it was wonderful and so hard.
Well, let's raise your hands and we'll take questions. Yes, sir.
Thank you for doing that.
I just want to say that Karen starred in a film we made many years ago, not many years ago, but a few years ago, called Moccasin Flats Redemption. I just want to say that he meant a lot to us. I'm sorry. I didn't think this was going to happen. I just was sorry for what happened to your family. Nina's a wonderful friend of ours. We've worked with her for many years. She was the makeup artist on Fire Song. She was a makeup artist on Moccasin Flats for many years. We were very good friends. And I worked with Kieran when he was 10 years old. And he auditioned for Fire Song. And I don't know what happened, but we lost him during the course of the filming of Fire Song, and Nina had to go home. And this is why the film is dedicated to him. And this is why we need to keep continuing to tell these stories about our youth and stop this madness, this insanity of suicide that's plaguing our communities. That's why I thank Adam for telling this story, for sharing this film. And I hope that we can all play a part in doing something about this. And to the MacArthur family, I just want to say thank you for allowing us to dedicate this film in the memory of Kieran.
Hi, my name is Cindy Beavis Love 101. I'm from Onset FTV in Paramount. I just wanted to share a beautiful creator story that happened today in God's Story. Today when we were coming in, I had one free ticket, but we met a friend who's gone through many things and has helped this community with a lot of work, and he had a bunch of free tickets. And we were walking by some homeless people on the street, and there just happened to be a bunch of pink balloons in between three of them. So then he had 5 tickets, and then they actually came in and watched this movie too to uplift them, so they're actually in this theater as well. So it's interesting how this whole story is like helping a bunch of people. So I just wanted to share that with you. That it's going on and a huge like creator kind of prayer is happening with a lot of people, and I hope this goes to none of it and everything today. There's a lot of issues that are happening there as well. So I just want to share that story that happened.
Thank you.
Can this movie get out so people will be able to see it? Can it get on reservations and anywhere else?
Yeah, so the question is about just where the film can go from here. So, obviously, we want to get the film to as many people and places and communities as possible. The film just had its world premiere, so it's very early in the life of the movie, and we're doing everything we can to figure out how to get it out and around. So it's definitely a priority for us to bring it out and into the communities, but we're still working on exactly, how we're going to be able to do that.
Just to finish my question,
Sure.
you're dealing with 2 incredibly difficult topics, suicide and being gay on a reservation away from the big city. One of the topics is hard enough to show to an audience. Both together is almost like suicide itself. I'm just wondering if you think combining both of those will in any way help or hinder getting the message out?
I think that it was really important to me when I started writing it. I always knew it was going to be about a two-spirit character, and suicide was at the heart of it. I didn't really question that, but a lot of people have been curious about there's a lot of stuff that these people are dealing with in the film, and as I was writing it, it felt like it would be really unfair or untruthful to try to pin it down to say that these people are feeling this way or they're in this situation because of this one thing, and if we could fix this one thing, then everyone would be happy and everything would work, because there's so many different systemic issues at play. The film isn't able to dig in deep into all of it, but it tried to kind of touch on all of the different things that are happening all together that are affecting all these kids and putting them in this kind of pressure cooker situation.
I just want to say thank you to you, Wedge, for this absolutely brilliant film. I just think it was one of the best things that I've seen at Imaginative or any festival. And thank you, Laura, and
Thank you.
to all your actors. It was so great.
Thanks so much.
It's a simple one, maybe, and maybe it speaks to what you just said, but what was the leaky roof the metaphor? I think I got it.
The question was about the leaky roof.
Yeah. It's this kind of he's in this home situation that's literally decaying around him, and I wanted for him to be in a situation where he was really kind of trying to choose between his home, the community that he came from, and his dreams and his potential future in the city, but also making that very literal and very physical to talk about not only just his community but his literal home. He has to choose between having a roof over his mother's head or going to the city and pursuing this other life. Yes, Melissa Jim.
How did you guys prepare for the role?
So the question was, how did you prepare for your roles?
So in preparing for the role, honestly, my whole process began with me spending a lot of time by myself, really trying to dig into Shane's life. As you saw, there's a lot going on with him. He's being pulled all over the place, so I really wanted to know him and get to know him, like he was sitting beside me in a way. And so it just came down to looking at him, and in some cases drawing parallels between my own life and his, but in other cases I also had to take a step outside of that and think, okay, in this situation, what would it be like in my own community? And then from there I would work into a different community. I myself grew up in a southern community, so I don't know what isolation is like. I don't know what what many of these issues facing northern communities are. So I had to take a look at my own community, and then from there look at the communities that we were in, and then build off of that. Okay, what are the situations surrounding Shane, and how would he be able to deal with it in his own world? So it was a lot of looking, like I said, a lot of spending time by myself so that I could really get a look at a lot of these different angles.
For me, I grew up in Kahnawake, just outside of Montreal, and once I received the script, I noticed that a lot of these characters were walking around on my reservation, so I didn't have to dig too deep to, say, hey, it's similar to him, and so on and so forth. But for Kyle, very, very bad man, very bad man. And I can't say I've ever raped anybody. So I kind of just had to jump in there and give her. Yeah. Yeah.
Just to add to that, I have to say, for Andrew, it was his first time being on camera, and he had to carry this whole feature film, and it was really interesting for me watching him, because it felt like I was watching the way that Shane would respond in this situation, because like the whole period of production while we were shooting, there was a lot of people letting off a lot of steam. Andrew was like in his room and going to bed at a reasonable hour and not drinking and taking care of the other people around him. And so I think that too is, I don't know how much of that was you and how much of that was you just kind of living the character, but that was interesting for me.
I'd just like to add too that we also had fabulous Glenn Gould here helping the actors. There was a lot of actors, it was their first time on screen, first time in front of a camera, period. And Glenn really helped. We had a very extensive workshop period, and Glenn really helped get these actors into shape, and also acting with great actresses like Jennifer Podemsky really helped them know who they were in the roles.
I just want to comment, I don't have a question, but I want to comment to the team here, Andrew and Laura and James and Andrew, everybody. I think, or Adam, sorry, I called you Andrew. I think you guys all did a stellar job, and I felt like a proud uncle watching the film of a lot of the young cast members, and Mani was so wonderful, who played the elder. She was just amazing, and while we were going through the workshop, just to go back to the issues that were addressed in this film, it was really heavy, and I know for a lot of us First Nations people, those issues are close to home, especially suicide. Myself, I'm a survivor of suicide, and turned around and got my ASSIST certificate, so I'm an intervention skills. I'm trained to help somebody if they're in that position. But it was so heavy and so close to home, for a lot of us, that during the workshop we actually went into ceremony to help us get through that, that time, because I know even for myself, just running the workshops, the on-camera workshops, reading the script, and feeling that brought up a lot of issues for myself, and I'm sure it did for everybody else, as it did for people in the audience. I could hear the reactions from up there in the balcony at some of the moments. So I just want to say, for anybody out there who's been affected directly or indirectly by suicide, please do not be afraid to talk about it. We can't bottle it up. And if you're a young person or any person of any age, and you're going through a hard time where you're feeling that way, please reach out and talk to somebody, and ask for help. It's a courageous thing to ask for help. And I just want to say hats off to all of you. You guys kicked ass.
For the line, I don't want to get you knocked up and be stuck here. Was that sweet to say?
No, I have to say that this is the first audience I actually saw such a strong reaction to that line. I was amazed. I was like, why are people laughing
They
at
laughed
that?
in Vancouver and Sudbury.
Did they?
Yeah, for all of you that laughed out there, I know which one of you have used that line before, so. It was just interesting to say, really, because I know anybody out there has probably, if not said it out loud, has thought that at least once or twice in their life. So it was interesting to say. That's what I got to say about it.
I might have used a version of that line. It's possible.
Yes.
I just want to share a comment. I think I could really appreciate the realness of how you guys portrayed the community in terms of, what goes on in the community after hours. I mean, in my first station, it's exactly what I saw on TV, or exactly what I saw on film here. And the interactions amongst the youth and the dealings that go behind the scenes. The real issues around suicide, teenage pregnancy, drug use, prescription drugs, alcohol, all those issues are very, very real. And I think you've captured it in the best way that you possibly could. And I could really, really appreciate that. It's not about sugarcoating the issues, it's about talking about the issues. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi there. I think the movie had a very appropriate balance of sadness, hope, humor, and I think you guys just did an absolute spectacular job. The actors were tremendous. The story was amazing, and I think it's very important. I would like to, see that in communities. But also, I think it's very worthy of very mainstream, so that people can gain a better understanding of some of the issues that northern communities face. Amazing job, Laura and James, and to you as well, who wrote the screenplay. Fantastic work.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's interesting trying to get a film like this off the ground, and a lot of times the question is, and I think probably for a lot of filmmakers in this room, it's like, okay, yeah, but who wants to watch that story? Who wants to see that story? This is a really sad script. Who's going to go and see this movie? And it's touring the film around and showing it to different people at festivals and stuff. It's been really nice to hear people saying that they feel like it will resonate or does resonate with a wider audience of people, because I think that our stories can get access to the mainstream. I think it's important that people see these stories beyond our communities, and hopefully we can figure out a way to do that.
Time for one more? Yes.
Are you showing at mainstream LGBT film festivals? And what kind of reaction are they to Two-Spirit? Because I do a lot of advocating on Two-Spirit people. So I want to see or hear what the reaction is, or what they're saying, or even inviting them.
Yeah, so the question is just about whether or not the film is screened for mainstream LGBT festivals and what the Two-Spirit community is saying about the film. It hasn't screened at a big queer film festival yet. As I said, we're just kind of starting on the life of the film right now. But in the springtime, there's a bunch. That's kind of like when the big queer film festival wave is. But there's been a lot of Two-Spirit people who have been finding the film in different screenings in different cities that we've shown it in so far, and the response has been really great. So, yeah, thanks for the question.
Make sure you tell everyone you know about this amazing movie, and that will help get it out further out into the world. Adam, yes?
One last thing I want to mention. Jason, in his intro, did mention a little slip of paper, and there's a number 5 on it. That's the one that you want to circle or rip. But yeah, and all joking aside, the voting really does help. So if you like the film, please do vote for it on your way out.
Please do vote. Adam, folks, thank you so much for bringing us this urgent, amazing movie. Make rich.
Thank you, Jason.